The key players in this final act were not just the ambitious officials, but her own family. Her sons, Li Xian and Li Dan, had lived their entire lives in her shadow, twice ascending the throne only to be deposed by their own mother. They were the legitimate heirs of the Tang dynasty, a constant reminder of the empire she had seized. For years they had waited, cautiously and fearfully, for their moment. That moment was now approaching. But the immediate catalyst for the coup wasn't her sons. It was two men who had gained unprecedented influence in the Empress's final years, the Zhang brothers, Zhang Yizi and Zhang Changzong. These two were not skilled politicians or brilliant generals. They were young, handsome, and charismatic courtiers who had become Wu Zetian's favorites. They were her constant companions, rumored to be her lovers, and she showered them with titles, wealth, and power. To the grizzled statesmen and generals of the court, the Zhang brothers were nothing more than parasites, unworthy upstarts who held sway over the ailing empress. They were seen as a corrupting influence, manipulating the empress for their own gain and threatening the stability of the empire. Resentment against them simmered, and soon it would boil over. A group of high-ranking chancellors, led by the veteran statesman Zhang Jianzi, decided they could wait no longer. The conspirators, with the backing of the imperial guards, launched their coup. They stormed the palace, their first target not being the empress herself, but the hated Zhang brothers. The brothers were captured in the palace grounds and executed on the spot. Their heads were then displayed at the palace gates, a clear and brutal signal that a new power was in charge. They forced their way into her bedchambers. Imagine the scene. The once invincible empress, now old and frail, awakened in the middle of the night by the clang of armor and the shouts of soldiers. These were her own chancellors, her own guards, men she had appointed, now standing before her as rebels. According to historical accounts, even in this moment of ultimate betrayal, Wu Zetian did not lose her composure. When she saw the armed men, she demanded to know if the Zhang brothers had caused this trouble. The leader of the coup, Zhang Jianzi, stepped forward. He didn't bow to her as empress. He addressed her directly, informing her that the Zhang brothers had been executed for plotting treason. And then came the final blow. He requested that she abdicate the throne in favor of her son, the crown prince Li Shan. It wasn't a request. It was a demand backed by swords and an army. Wu Zetian, the woman who had clawed her way from concubine to empress, who had ruled for decades with an iron will, now had no choice. Her power base was gone. Her favorites were dead. Her life as a ruler was over. For the next 10 months, she lived in forced retirement. After all, given her ruthless past, she could have been executed for treason. Instead, she was allowed to live out her final days in comfort, albeit without power. Her son, Emperor Zhongzong, still showed her filial respect. visiting her and granting her the honorific title of Grand Empress Regnant Zetian. But others argue this was the cruelest possible punishment. For a woman like Wu Zetian, whose entire identity was intertwined with power, being stripped of it and forced to watch her life's work be dismantled was a fate worse than death. She had to witness her Zhou dynasty being erased from history and the Tang dynasty, which she had fought so hard to supplant, rise again. Her name, her legacy, everything she had built, was being systematically undone before her very eyes. In December of 705, less than a year after the coup, Wu Zetian died at the age of 81. In her will, she made a final, shocking request. She asked to have her title of emperor removed and to be buried not as a sovereign ruler, but as the empress consort of her deceased husband, Emperor Gozong. It was a stunning reversal. The woman who declared herself emperor now asked to be remembered simply as an emperor's wife. Why? Was it a final, strategic move to ensure her place within the Tang family lineage, protecting herself from posthumous condemnation? Was it a sign of genuine remorse? Or was it the ultimate admission of defeated recognition that despite all her power, she could not permanently change the patriarchal system she had fought against her whole life? This final act remains one of the great mysteries of her story. She was buried alongside her husband in the Qinling Mausoleum, and in front of her tomb stands a massive, uncarved stone tablet, known as the blank stele. Traditionally, such a monument would be inscribed with the great deeds of the deceased. But Wu Zetian's is empty. Some say she left it blank because she believed her accomplishments were too vast for words to describe. Others believe she left it blank for future generations to judge her. And so, the story of China's only female emperor ends not with a bang, but with a quiet, enigmatic fade. A ruler who conquered an empire but could not conquer time and tradition. Her fall serves as a stark reminder that in the treacherous game of thrones, power is fleeting, and loyalty is a currency that can be spent in a single night. What do you think? Was her blank tombstone a sign of arrogance or humility? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the dark side of history.